How do?
How do?
Why
Why, man?
Mental Health Monday, we're going to talk about eating disorders, something very close to my heart. If you've got kids, watch this. During lockdown, nearly 1 million kids were referred to CAMS, Child Mental Health Services in this country. Ruth Lord, where would you like to start? When did you first recognise you had an eating disorder, or was it somebody else?
I don't think I recognised it for quite a long time.
Ruth has been on the channel before. She's told me not to let her rant, so I'll try and keep her on track. I'm not being a rude host. Sorry for interrupting.
I talk
Go
too
on.
much.
Eating disorder, yeah, come on.
So I think obviously it started because I was dancing from 2-year-old, and then when you're doing freestyle competitions, it's like you're in costumes that are like tight fitted, and actually then I wanted to be a bit bigger because I felt like my hip bone stuck out. I always had a thing about it. I competed from probably, well, I started training when I was 2, so I competed from, I don't think I started until I was about 8.
When did you become conscious of your body in that way?
From about that age.
From 8 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's girls with all shapes and sizes at competitions, and you're looking at like who's doing the best girls, or like my partner was a bit older than me.
Yep.
And you're in teams and you're doing lifts and things and chucking each other about.
Yep.
And I just thought, I've got horrible shape. It's not as nice as everybody else's, and body's not nice. Do you know what I mean? So that was sort of there in my head. I wouldn't say I stopped eating or anything at that point, or like, because obviously my mum would just make me tea.
Yeah.
But it was always sort of there. But I don't think it was until I went to uni and did my degree in dance that it properly got bad.
Do you think this pressure in, right, so you've talked about dancing. I have a very good friend whose daughter is a dancer. She is a tiny little thing. Probably doesn't have the diet of a dancer.
Yeah.
And mentors and, places she's gone to further her career have been quite critical of the diet. However, like I've told you, she's a tiny thing. Obviously dancing and that, loads of exercise and stuff like that. Is it a bit naughty? As in, is the pressure like models?
Oh yeah, it's lethal. I think gymnastics is worse. I never did gymnastics at a high level, but I had friends that did, and they used to measure the body fat. They used to make them stay at each other's houses so they could monitor what the others were, because they had a top in gymnastics that they chucked about. And I lived with a girl who was like high-level gymnast. She made the top stay at her house, and she used to hand her like a bowl of strawberries and like measure her food so that she wasn't eating. It's horrible. And then like, even like the period stops and stuff like that, they don't develop properly through it.
Period stopping, then you're clearly not eating enough. That's first sign of an eating disorder.
Yeah. So when I went to uni, I trained in front of mirrors for 3 years. It was at a place called Dance City. We did the practical out in Newcastle, and it's just mirrored studios. When I trained growing up, it wasn't always mirrors, so it wasn't so bad. So you stood in front of a mirror with a group of everyone else on the course, and you have to look like, you're taught to look at yourself to correct yourself.
This is before social media really got a grip.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So was your mum, because mums, they feed you, don't they? Mums and nans feed you. Was your mum aware of anything?
I remember I was living up in Newcastle, that's the thing, and I was in an abusive relationship at the same time. She did leave a note outside the toilet once saying, "I know that you're making yourself sick."
Your mum did?
Yeah. Because I must have, like, disgusting it sounds, not flushed the toilet once after I'd made myself sick. Yeah. So what I used to do, I think because I was in that abusive relationship as well, and the things that he used to say it was about my body, and the things he used to do to my body and stuff like that made us feel just wretched and disgusting anyway. I'd had lads make comments in the past about, because I've danced, well, I've got legs like my dad more than my mum. My mum's really petite, so I've always had like quite big quads because of dancing, a lot of like kicking quad dominant stuff. I remember being on a night out once and I had like a short skirt on when I was younger. He was like, God, you've got proper footballer's legs, you haven't you? And then like exes have been like, you've got a nice figure, but you've got very big legs, very chunky legs.
Do you think, because obviously you are bipolar, at that time you didn't sort of know that made that worse for you?
Yeah.
But now social media, it's like this anyway, isn't it? There is a spotlight on people. You've got all these influencers. I think what is pretty disgusting for me, a lot of these influencers, you've got Photoshop and everything else, and there is an island where all the influencers go every year, and I saw this guy go there and do a documentary, and he was ripping them, and he said, right, so he showed you a picture of his lass, right, these are Instagram pictures, and they're all, you know, shapely ass and all that, and figures and bikini shots and stuff, and she's got millions of followers, and he says, right, that is what she looks like, this is her
in like reality.
So here, I don't know sizes that well, but say she's a 6 to 8, in reality she's a 12 to 14, which he says that's a normal person.
Yeah,
you know, she's a pretty girl. I'm not taking that away from her. However, that and that are massively different.
Exactly.
And people are following that, and this is her.
Exactly.
You know, her advice here is not telling you it's all right to drink lager and eat hot dogs and stuff like that, but this is the life she's living.
And then, but they also show loads of food, don't they? Influences of what they're eating and what they're drinking, all these cocktails and like amazing food, and it's like,
and their exercise regimes again, which is bollocks.
Exactly, they just do posts about it, they don't actually do. I mean, I'm sure some of them do, like the proper fitness influencers, but so I mean, I've put £6 on lately and it's killing us. I'm a size 10, but I've been a size 16, I've been a size 6, I've been a size 8.
But you're very, part of your makeup is you're very conscious about how you look, aren't you?
I think it's from insecurity. I think people think I'm confident in the way I look and I'm really not.
Yeah, like, but I don't think a lot of people are, do you?
No.
But going back to kids, right, you know, how do parents, right, let me tell you from my point of view, me, when I was around the house, you know, I'm doing normal stuff, pots, scraping plates, putting the rubbish out. It became quite obvious to me that our daughter was not in a good place. How do you combat that? How do you protect your kids from social media? How do you stop your kids worrying about what they look like? How do you stop? Well, some of it you can't. You can't stop people saying things, can you? So,
and you can't really stop your kids going on it. My 5-year-old niece, a couple of months ago, had said to her mum, I think I'm fat.
Oh my Lord.
But she started dancing as well.
Really?
It's really sad. And like, I think I would have been in more of a mess if I'd had social media then. I think Facebook was just coming in when I was starting to become bulimic. But I can't imagine the pressure that girls feel. Because I'm nearly 40 now, I'm kind of past the stage of like, I don't follow influencers. I used to, but I just unfollow them because I just don't think it's healthy.
You're still conscious about, you just said you're conscious.
Yeah,
you know, you worry about putting weight on.
But like, I think I'm body dysmorphic as well. Like, I think I look really, really big. And then I might see a picture and think, oh, I don't look as big as what I feel in my head.
Well, this is the problem, innit? You know, anorexia is a mental health problem. It's got the highest mortality rate of any mental health problem. And then, you know, there's untold other eating disorders. But, you know, is there anything your mum could have done to sort of change your thought patterns or...
Well, that was it really. It was just that note, and then not a lot was said. I never had any help with it, but I definitely wasn't anorexic. It was bulimia. So I lived with a girl at uni, and she didn't go to my uni, so she just had a job. It was like a family friend. So I'm at uni doing my dance degree.
Yep.
She's just working in a office or whatever.
Yep.
I had 2 toothbrushes, one to brush my teeth and one to shove down my throat. Oof. But that just became like, that was just my routine. So she used to be like, I'm a bit worried about, what you're doing. Was
that every day?
Oh God, yeah. Like,
so did you eat what you wanted? Did you binge eat?
Yeah. I still do sometimes binge eat, but I haven't made myself sick for years.
So how did you get out of that? Because it's a lifelong condition.
My friend, an old friend from school, I used to take laxatives and everything to
Which again?
And when I was going out drinking and like getting dressed up and stuff, I got in with some girls who were like in private school and they had loads of money and they always looked dead glam and they were like, oh, you should take laxatives, it makes you lose weight and stuff like that. So I was doing that and I was making myself sick, and it was just a constant like battle. And then because I was in an abusive relationship, I was like, and getting like told I was fat and useless and horrible and worthless, then you just think you are. Then you're in the mirror every day, people make, like even your lecturers make comments about your body and stuff.
What?
Yeah, like on my dance degree, like she used to be like, you're like a monkey, your arms are too long and your legs are too stocky and short, and pull your breakfast in, you big fat grandma. My ballet teacher used to say when stood at the bar first thing on the morning. That's what she actually said to us when I'm on a degree pit. My mum and dad are paying thousands of pounds, and that's how I'm being spoke to. But that's fairly standard in dance. Get off the floor.
It's a brutal.
Get off the floor, you're fat. And then I was probably only about 8 stone. Like I'm not. I'll be at the minute 9.5 to 10 stone now. So if you think, I was definitely slim, but I still thought it was big. So it got to the point where I started to cough up blood. I think that's what frightened us out of it. So I had to go and have like a camera put down my throat and into my tummy, and they said like I've damaged the lining of my stomach. So because I knew that every time, say if I had a glass of wine or something acidic, I used to like retch and stuff.
Yep.
So they gave us tablets to help with that, but I never took them for some reason. But now I do take them now, because the doctor said, do you still take your tablets for that? And I was like, I've never taken them. Don't know why, but again, that's that lack of self-worth, I think, just thinking, oh well, it doesn't matter.
Can I ask you, so we've got social media that is a massive shocking influence there. Obviously dance, gymnastics, things like that, there's a lot of pressure on kids. Well, when I was growing up, we had very few takeaways. There weren't many takeaways around. There were no fast food like there is now. You know, how do we do with that? Do we get kids in school and do we explain about healthy living, lifestyle and stuff like that? Because as it is now, it's very much fast food world, isn't it?
There's a lot of very overweight young kids now, I think. But then it's a difficult one, because if you sit them down and start going into food and like, this is what you should be doing, and they think, oh God, well, I'm not doing that. And then they might start thinking, well, say the mum and dad are feeding them takeaways and rubbish all the time, that's not really their fault if they go home to like a McDonald's.
It's a double-edged sword though, isn't it? Because,
and then like I say, if you start digging into it and bringing it up all the time, then especially for little girls, they start thinking, oh well, I just need to eat fruit, and I just need to eat that, and I just need to eat what they're eating. And it's a very difficult thing to approach, and I think that's why my mum never really, it was just a note saying, I know that you're making yourself sick. I think she just wanted us to know, but then I don't think anything was really said about it. But also, I didn't know I was bipolar then either.
So yeah, yours definitely, you know, is above and beyond.
But I don't think my eating disorder was anywhere near as bad as, you know, when I've been on the ward.
You managed it yourself, didn't you?
I did, but I hid it, and I think that was. But also, one of my friends went, I'm going to start making myself sick. And I was like, don't.
How old was your friend? About?
I think I was about 20 and she was a year younger.
Really?
About 19.
Really?
And then she got really thin. But I think she was taking drugs as well. And she was like, it's your fault that I'm like this, you know. And then I think I was like, shit, like, is it? And I knew it wasn't, because I was like, I had never told anybody else to do it. I was very secretive about it. I would never have gone, oh, I made myself sick.
That's the other thing, isn't it? It's.
But then I think I felt really guilty when she said that. And I thought, I need to stop doing this. But I would do it on nights out as well when I was drinking. Like I go on, but then that was also because sometimes I was too drunk and I wanted to be sick and keep drinking. But it just became, I would like, and sometimes nothing would come up because sometimes there was nothing to come up. Like, I wouldn't always just binge and then make myself sick. I would just do it like first thing on the morning when I hadn't.
Just have it.
Yeah. And
So-
now I still, even this morning, retch and nearly throw up sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth because.
So you're right. The bipolar was far worse, weren't it, for you? That was something that, you know, was out of control.
Yeah.
Your bulimia has probably been part of that, but you managed it yourself. So for me, you need to educate kids best you can. If you take a step back, it's a nightmare, innit? You're just failing before you start. You've got social media now, you know, fast food lifestyle or what. I can't. When I was a kid, there were no McDonald's or KFC. They might have been round. They might have been round.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I remember maybe as a child having Chinese twice.
Exactly.
And you know, and it was like, what's this?
And we would share like one meal.
Yeah,
some rice
exactly.
And a few chips.
Exactly.
Where now the people spend £50 on a Chinese or whatever. And it's so bad. Like, it's really sad to see some gorgeous looking kids and they're absolutely huge. And you just think they're only going to get worse if they're brought up on these bad habits of eating. You know, I'm not saying don't have a burger, don't have a takeaway, but make it like, oh, we're going to have a takeaway. Say like, oh, we're going to have a takeaway at the weekend. They should be like, oh, that's a bit of a treat, rather than just oh, should we get a pizza tonight? Do you know what I mean? It's like, no. And it's the people are like, oh, I've got no money. It's a cost of living crisis. It's like, how much do you spend on takeaways a week though?
No, you are right. The other thing is that, you know, a lot of people, and I've said this in past, and people do say this, you can't be all work and no play. It's just a treat. We don't do anything else. We can't afford to go on holiday. Can't do this, can't do that. For me, the only way they're going to tackle this, it needs schools, the education system, to address it. There's a lot of shite in school now taught.
Yeah.
It needs to be addressed. You need to give kids lifestyle and
the
life
danger.
skills.
I think they should talk to them about
being open.
But I think they should talk to them about the dangers of social media.
Of course they should.
From quite a young age, because yes, it's probably, I don't know, you're supposed to be 16 or 18 to have an Instagram, probably, aren't you? But they don't. They've got them from like, some of them got them from like 8-year-olds.
Yeah, of course they have.
So I think they should do like, I don't know how they could, you know, introduce it, but even if it was just like a few
do you not think
presentations
do you
on
not
it.
think if the government really wanted to, they couldn't restrict your TikTok? Exactly. Do you think anyone has honourable intentions of doing that? Because I don't. So for me, the best thing to do is be very, very open, you know, with kids, so they can discuss things. Just what we've been talking for 18 minutes now, just thinking about it now is grim. Yeah, you've got pressure, peer pressure, yeah, to look good, be good or whatever. You've got, you know, a fast food type lifestyle everywhere now that weren't there. We're not preparing kids. You've got the social media aspect.
And I think the social media as well, there's all these sort of places that are dead. So for example, like, you know, these cafes that are all pink and they sell big ice creams and waffles and cookies, and kids are like, oh, I want to go there, and to get photos and stuff like that as well. And it's just food.
But what you said is right, it's a treat, isn't it?
Yeah, but food isn't seen as something
that's
to
harmful.
be used for nutrition and for fuel for your body. It's people want food that's like tastes good and that's like, do you get what I mean? I don't think they're taught about how much you need certain foods in your diet and what the fuel in your body.
Do you know what the food pyramid is? Right, food pyramid.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. So food pyramid is telling you what you should eat. So yeah, you need to be eating this and some of this as you get lower down or whatever, and this in moderation. So that's changed. So if you look at America, the food pyramid has changed 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And when you look at the food pyramid, what they've sort of market leading research and all that, it's really, really bad advice. You look at America now, obesity rates.
Oh God, yeah, it's terrible.
But then on the other side of it now, you've got this body positive movement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now for me, lifestyle change, I've had a heart attack, I want to be healthy, I want to live longer. Now posting a video about me losing weight, going at gym, changing my lifestyle, you know, I'd be seen as someone who's fat phobic.
This is the danger, but you do look good, by the way. You've lost about a stone, I reckon, since I've last seen you. Well done.
But you know,
but it is like, you know what, I need to be careful what I say here, because I'm not being critical, right? But there's people on Instagram who are massively overweight, who have an Instagram about be you, accept your body as it is, big is beautiful, which is fine, but it's the health, it's your health, it's the underlying health factors that come with being that big. It's not about you look too big and not, you know, there is a lot of people, there's women who are really big and they're absolutely beautiful. They do look good at, you know, that size. And there's men who've said to me, oh, I don't find people that are slim attractive, and that's fine. But it's like, I understand the message, but what's happening with your organs? What's happening with your heart? You know.
Well, here's the thing, yeah. What you want is a fine balance. What my nan used to say, I think, is very true. What I was thinking is very true.
Yeah.
A little of everything, which is how you used to eat.
Yeah.
Everything was cooked, everything was fresh. There's very little processed food, very little stuff come in packets. There's very little takeaways. You couldn't afford them anyway. You know, a bowl of chips was a treat.
Yeah.
There was a guy who used to come around in a chip van. You go out with your nan's best baking bowl, fill it full of chips, and you'd all share it and have a chip boy. But for me, it needs to start in schools, and they need to give kids life skills. And very soon, if the government cared, they'd be doing it now. Like you said, drugs, social media, how to manage money, you know, body image, all these things are, for me, you know, they
should ban Photoshop or whatever these apps that they use.
They're not going to do anything like that.
No.
Right, here's the thing, they make money.
Exactly.
They make a lot of money.
Exactly.
And people, these influencers make a lot of money as
They
well.
do.
A lot of them will have body dysmorphia. A lot of them, you know, it spews for views.
But a lot of them
They were going to do that, weren't they? They were going to get Ray with the views and that, so you know, it doesn't show how many views somebody's.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it. They're not interested.
No. Because, like you said, they're marketing machines, aren't they? Like, companies are
Yeah,
like,
of course they are.
like, will you have, you know, hold this product up, and they'll never use the product. They'll chuck it away or give it to somebody, won't they?
So if you've got a kid now, incidentally, Ruth has chosen not to have kids because you're bipolar, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is very sad. However, you know, what would you do? Just be open and honest about things and try and educate myself.
I think I'd be I'm very open and honest anyway, so I think I'd be a very strict parent in the way of, like, being quite protective, to try and prevent stuff that I'd been through. But I think I would address it and sit them down, talk about it, and say, look, are you struggling? Are you struggling with your body image? Are you making yourself sick? Are you starving yourself? What's going on? And talk to them about, you know, I don't think I'd let my kids have social media. But is there a way of stopping them? I think yes, if they're you know, age maybe 8 to 12, get to 13, they're gonna get on it, aren't they? The
problem is, you know, all kids have got phones now. If they haven't got a phone that's human, they get bullied for that.
That's what I was just going to say.
They get bullied for that. So at the end of the day, social media is there. They do have access, so it needs to be restricted. Or, you know, you need to just...
And it's the sad thing is, it's like you say, what, you know, how can we address it? But it's like the mental health services, and it would be mental health services. If you try and seek help for a kid with an eating disorder, they'd be like, well, there's nothing we can do. There's no signs of...
It's very limited.
You know,
well, we've obviously been through this.
Yeah.
What people need to understand as a parent, if you suspect your child has an eating disorder or whatever, the normal route, we go to a GP, get a referral to CAM, child mental health services or whatever. But what people quite definitely need to realise is, you know, you might get, if you get 1 hour a week out of CAMS or 2 hours a week, that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that you are with that child. The help you'll actually get is minimal. You might get a diagnosis, you might get some prescription medication, but the graft come from the parent,
and they'll not
carer.
Get to the root of it, or even try and get to the root of it.
It is an uphill struggle, soul destroying, but you know, it has to come from the people who are looking or caring for that child, quite definitely, because the help you'll get will be very minimal, and depending on the area, postcode, the services, the people you're dealing with, you know, on the positive side, I've met some really fantastic people who care. The downside of that is I've met some people who had no empathy or understanding and were just in a job providing child mental health services, just ticking boxes.
I just don't see why it's that hard. I just think if I worked in mental health services and saw like a young kid come in who's clearly starving themselves or struggling, how can you not just have a conversation with that kid and show them empathy and understanding? Even if you haven't got the resources to be referring them that day, use the time to talk to them and try and get to the bottom of it.
Let me tell you, parting shot this, yeah? A team leader that I've had contact with, we were talking about people in the job like you've just mentioned. So I said, or our last said, it might have been our last, because we were both there. So you've got someone with experience, might have had an eating disorder themselves, they're still in recovery or they've recovered, but they've got them life experiences and they come for a job. Would you take them over someone who just left university with qualifications? No, I'd take the person who just left university qualifications, and that is where, you know, you don't need any qualification to have empathy and understanding. Life experiences. The best people, the best carers for me are them that's been through it.
You've got to have been on the bottom or somewhere in the depths to understand it, I think. You've got to, because qualifications, they're just bits of paper. If you think about an 18-year-old can start university, what's an 18-year-old? Yeah, they'll have been through a few things, but to me, that's not really an adult. Then they're just, again, ticking boxes at uni, doing exams, they come out with a piece of paper. But even the 3 or 4 years they're at uni, they're quite sheltered. Students live like in a bit of a bubble, don't they?
There's thousands of people out there with life experiences, been through abuse, eating disorders, still going through it, still dealing with it, qualified to do all these jobs. We've got no mental health services and stuff like that. You know, they're the best people to do it for me. Ruth Lord, it's been nice to meet you again.
Yes, and you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for your contribution. Would you like to, maybe next month, go on a live with me where people can ask questions about eating disorders, mental health in general, bipolar, medication, the fact that you're on lithium now and you've waited years to go on that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, so...
Because there was a couple of comments as well, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
In one of the videos,
yeah.
I wasn't thrown from the top of a Telegraph post. I was thrown against one because there was a very angry man saying, how could she have been thrown off the top of a Telegraph post, to clear that up?
Listen.
And I'm not ever feeling sorry for myself because I've done some horrible things that I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And I'm just all I want to do is help people and raise awareness. So I just want to make that clear, that I'm not here for it to be about me and for sympathy. Do you know what I mean?
To share experiences
and to help
and
people,
possibly
essentially.
Help people. Yeah, thank you very much. Job's a good one. I'll see you.